Corey DeAngelis is a school choice evangelist. He is senior fellow at the American Culture Project, author of the book, The Parent Revolution, Rescuing Your Kids from the Radicals Ruining Our Schools. Corey, welcome back to the show. How you doing?
Hey, Rich, doing well. Thanks for having me.
Oh, listen, thanks for coming back. First of all, we have the audio of Randi Weingarten screaming her head off in Philadelphia over the weekend. When she's not stealing your kids' milk money under the bridge, Corey DeAngelis, she's out there trying to have the teachers union run this country. And now she's resigned from the DNC as an official or something?
It's insane, right? She was at the DNC, the Democratic National Committee, for 23 years, and nobody in the mainstream media mentioned this in any of her interviews. Whenever they wrote about her, they just said that she represents teachers. I'd say she's out of step with most teachers. She's definitely out of step with most of the American public. But I actually dedicated that book that you mentioned, my book, The Parent Revolution, to Randi Weingarten. If you look at the very front, I thank her for inadvertently doing more to advance homeschooling and school choice than anyone could have ever imagined. I mean, she's been free advertising for the school choice movement, especially with COVID, fighting to keep the schools closed. And now you have her leading this No Kings protest, a far left radical protest in the streets in Philadelphia over the weekend. I mean, we knew that the teachers union bosses were trying to inject politics into the classroom. Now we've seen that they're doing it all across the country in the streets. They don't just want to take over the minds of your children. They want to change the direction of this country and turn it into a socialist utopia in their view. And this should give you more than enough evidence as to why we should abolish those far left teachers unions once and for all. Randi Weingarten's union's called the AFT, the American Federation of Teachers. And if you look at their campaign contributions since 1990, we have over 3 decades of evidence of this. 99% of their funding every single election cycle has gone to Democrats. It's a money laundering operation. It ought to be illegal. And now we find out that not just Randi, Becky Pringle, she's the head of the NEA. She also is a member of the Democrat National Committee, actually an at-large member. And so there's this weird incestuous relationship where the Democrat Party is basically a wholly owned subsidiary of the teachers union at this point. And maybe this is why they were able to tell the CDC to reissue guidance to make it more difficult to reopen schools during the COVID era. They were able to lobby the Democrats, but they're basically one and the same at this point. These two organizations, you can't really tell the difference.
No, you can't, Corey. And you see how much money the New Jersey Education Association spent to try to get that guy Sean Spiller elected as the Democrat nominee for governor of New Jersey?
$40 million.
Unbelievable.
They flushed it down the toilet. They're burning teachers unions' dues right before our eyes. That guy came in last place, basically. I think he got 10% of the vote in the Democrat primary. Look, this doesn't tell you that the unions are they can't read the room. Nothing else will.
And you know what's funny is that the teachers union is the only, that and the government union, the one in D.C., they're the only unions left that are still backing Democrats, because every other union out there with working people that actually work for a living, obviously they're all backing Trump. They're backing Republicans now. I mean, the working class people in this country, those union guys and gals, they're all with Trump. And the teachers union, the government employees union, that's it. That's all the Democrats have left, Corey.
That's exactly right. The Trump is a man of the people. He won the parent vote by 9 points in November. And look, the teachers unions, they're out of step. They don't even represent their members anymore. I mean, you have so many conservative teachers that are just trying to do the right thing in the classroom. Randi Weingarten makes them look bad. And I think the DNC, I bet you they forced Randi Weingarten out. And Randi Weingarten probably pulled a Nixon and said, before you fire me, I'm going to send a resignation letter and pretend that I'm trying to build a tent. She was behind David Hogg's efforts.
Yep.
She didn't like the guy who actually became in charge. She liked the more far left radical David Hogg, who wanted to primary Democrats who weren't sufficiently Marxist. And so that really goes to show you, it's not just that the teachers union bosses are, in lockstep with the Democrats. They've even gone even further left. They're in lockstep with the communists. I mean, And really, that should tell people why we need school choice now more than ever. Do you want people like Randy Weingarten influencing your child? Do you want people like Becky Pringle who just yell at all their rallies? These teachers union bosses make over $500,000 a year to politicize education. They're trying to take over your kids. They're trying to undo everything you're trying to do in the household. And parents don't want their kids to be brainwashed. So I think that's why we've seen 17 states, they've all been red states, go all in on school choice in the past 4 years alone.
I love that.
And Pennsylvania came close. You had Josh Shapiro pretend he supported it. Then he ended up vetoing his own campaign promise. I mean, bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it works out for him. He said he supported school choice, and then he didn't, and then he caved to the teachers' unions. But Pennsylvania, hopefully that's the next shoe to drop when it comes to the school choice fight. At some point, the Democrats have to scratch their heads and say, we need to abandon the teachers union and we should start listening to the kids union, the parents.
Corey DeAngelis is with me. His book, The Parent Revolution, Rescuing Your Kids from the Radicals Ruining Our Schools. I want to read you the dedication. To Randy Weingarten of the Teachers Union, you're doing more to advance freedom and education than anyone could have ever imagined. Thank you for overplaying your hand, showing your true colors, and sparking the parent revolution. America is beyond grateful. Bravo, man. I love that, by the way. Fantastic work with that.
Yeah, I sent her a copy of the book. For some reason, she didn't get back to me. She didn't endorse it. Maybe she burned it. She had one of the union members in Wisconsin actually called to burn the book right when I released it on social media. And look, they call us the book banners for wanting appropriate content in public school libraries, yet they're actually calling to burn books that they politically disagree with. All those books that are quote unquote banned in public schools for young children, you can still buy them on Amazon last time I checked. But look, yeah, Randy Weingarten, she has really helped fuel the school choice movement. So, I heard she stepped down from the DNC. I'm like, okay, that's fine. If she would have stepped down from the teachers union, I think in the long run that actually might hurt us because she's been so helpful at just making them look bad. She steps on a rake every single day, and they've overplayed their hand, and they've been so drunk on power they can't reverse course. But look, that's the silver lining here is that families have said enough is enough. The jig is up. Let's have the money follow the child. And unintentionally, or at least a side effect of that, is that the public schools, they do a better job because they have to. If you have to compete, if you don't have children hostage, if you have to treat people as customers as opposed to the enemy, you're gonna listen when parents show up at the school board meetings. You're not gonna label them as a domestic terrorist, as we saw under the Biden administration, where we had the School Boards Association labeling parents who are upset about divisive Marxist critical race theory as quote unquote domestic terrorists. It's insane that they did that. But again, this NSBA, the School Boards Association, they lost at least 26 states after they pulled that stunt. So parents, if you hear one thing from this conversation today, I want you to know that when you band together and push for the rights to raise your own children, you're going to win this fight because you care about your kids more than anybody else.
Yeah, Corey, I think that was the turning point. That letter from Merrick Garland saying to moms and dads, you might be domestic violent extremists, and the FBI might be in the back of the room. I really do think that was a wake up call for a lot of these parents out there. We have a governor's election coming up in New Jersey. Jack Ciattarelli, the Republican nominee for governor, a guy who supports school choice. Mikey Sherrill, Democrat member of Congress, who well, she didn't get the backing of the NJEA in the primary because they wasted all their money on the guy who came in last place, as you mentioned. Certainly the Democrats will be behind her in the general election. You've broken down over the years the amount of contributions that teachers unions have given to Democrats and Democrat candidates. And it's really shocking when you look at it, particularly the American Federation of Teachers to Democrats going all the way back from 1994 to 2022. But it's also on the state level, too. And we have two governor's races this year, Virginia and New Jersey. The New Jersey Education Association, an incredibly powerful teachers union, although not as powerful since they couldn't get their guy elected. But and they're going to be all in, and they're going to do all the same nonsense and the brainwashing. So what advice do you give to the Ciattarelli campaign here?
Go all in on school choice and having parents direct the upbringing of your children. We saw this in 2021 with Glenn Youngkin. He won in a state that apparently went 10 points to Biden the year before. Why? Because Terry McAuliffe, the Democrat, at the final debate said, quote, I don't think parents should be telling schools what they should teach. It was the biggest gaffe in political history. He let the mask slip. And if the Republican in New Jersey does the same thing, I mean, that didn't come out of nowhere. Glenn Youngkin was pushing Terry McAuliffe on a bill that he had previously vetoed to allow parents to have more of a say in their kids' education, to be able to opt out of sexually explicit content. So if you have the Republican in New Jersey pushing the same kind of issues, that's going to force the hand of the Democrat to slip up and say something stupid. That could be a pivotal moment in the campaign going into this year. And if I remember correctly, the last New Jersey election, at the beginning of election night, was pretty close. Everybody was watching Virginia, but the Republican did pretty well in New Jersey too. So, if you can follow the Glenn Youngkin blueprint for success, you're going to put that Democrat in a catch-22 position, because they're already in bed with the teachers unions, as you said. But now if you mobilize the parents, the kids union, they're going to have nowhere to go. And so the GOP can emerge as the parents' party. As we've seen, Trump beat Kamala Harris on education too. That was an underreported story. He won on education, according to 2 polls by Atlas Intel nationwide, showing that Trump won the popular vote with people who preferred education, and he won the parent vote by 9 points. This is a political winner, and the worst thing that the Republican could do is to stay silent on parental rights and education. I don't think he's going to do that. I think he's going to do the right thing.
No, and he's already said, one of the big things for him is making sure the parents have a say in a very controversial issue, obviously. Johnny comes to school and says, hey, I'm Susie, and then the school district doesn't let the parents know. And Jack Ciattarelli, the Republican nominee in New Jersey, has said, hell no. Absolutely.
There we go.
Parents have to have a right to know and have a right to be involved in this process 100%. But look, we're watching Democrats across the country try to flip-flop on that issue. Gavin Newsom flip-flopping on girls, biological boys playing in women's sports. And when you bring up Josh Shapiro, so I've noticed this pattern with Democrats. You and I have talked about this years ago. When Cory Booker was mayor of Newark and when he ran for mayor of Newark, New Jersey, we're going back now to the early aughts. This was a guy who was all in on school choice, all in on charter schools, right? The minute he tasted statewide and national office, completely abandoned those positions. And you're seeing the exact same thing with Governor Josh Shapiro in Pennsylvania.
That's exactly right. And so the recommendation I would have to a Republican is to triple down on these issues, force their hand. Don't let them just say in broad terms, I support school choice. Try to back that Democrat into a corner so that they can't escape it later on, because a lot of times they do just repeat these platitudes. Like you had Joe Biden even saying that zip code shouldn't determine your future. It's like, hold up, that's been the school choice message for a long time. But then, I think even the Democrats understand that school choice is a popular issue across party lines. Democrats oftentimes are stuck in the worst government-run schools. So, this also put DeSantis over the finish line in his gubernatorial election for the first time around in 2018. His opponent was Andrew Gillum, a Democrat. This was a purple swing state. A lot of people thought the Democrat was going to win. DeSantis barely won after the Democrat came out and said that he wanted to get rid of the state's private school choice program that was benefiting over 100,000 kids already at the time in 2018, disproportionately non-white and low-income kids. CNN exit polling found the next day that DeSantis did really well with black moms, much higher than anticipated based on historical numbers. And those non-white mothers probably saw that they were going to lose their scholarships. They might have disagreed with DeSantis on everything else, but they said, you know what? I want a better future for my kids. And so they went out and protected those scholarships. They turned that into a single issue. And now Florida has a GOP supermajority in both chambers. And DeSantis most recently won by 20 points. This is a political winner, but more importantly, it's the right thing to do. The money's meant for the kids. It's not supposed to belong to the buildings. It's not for the public schools. It's for the children. So it should follow them to the school that works best, whether that's a public or private institution.
Well said. Get Corey's book. It's really a great one, The Parent Revolution, Rescuing Your Kids from the Radicals Ruining Our Schools, dedicated to the troll under the bridge, Randy Weingarten. And follow Corey on X at DeAngelis. Corey, thanks, man. Great to talk to you again.
Hey, thanks so much. It's good to talk to you, Rich.